All right, thank you. It's Monday, November 25th, 2024, and I'd like to call a special village board meeting to approve the 2025 budget, to call to order, and roll call, please.
Trustee Keller? Trustee McGurran?
Here.
Trustee Nelson? Trustee Elson?
Here.
Trustee Pike?
Here.
And Trustee Porter? And President Wecken.
Here. Well, we do have a quorum, barely, and as you can see, everybody must be frozen up outside, so so we'll open the public hearing, and the motion statement is to review, the reason we're doing this is to review and approve resolution number 2024-09, adopting the 2025 annual village budget and establishing the tax levy. Gina, it's...
So do we need to...
The second.
Okay.
We need to move to open the public hearing?
I didn't think so, but no.
I'm used to it.
Huh?
We do, don't we, Chief?
I think historically, yeah.
I make a motion to move us into a public hearing.
Second.
Okay, thank you. And now I've already read the review motion statement, so Gina, I think it's up.
We have a second to review and Mary?
Yeah, Mary
okay.
did.
Perfect, thank you.
Then?
All right.
We need a vote to open it?
Yep, we didn't vote yet.
All in favor, we've never done this in 10 years. All in favor of the proposed motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
All right. So we posted a couple of items out on, out on the website, including the budget that was included in the newspaper this past week. So that is the notice of the public hearing plus the proposed budget. We have a detailed budget sheet as well. And then the PowerPoint here that I'll be walking through, which kind of highlights some of the items on there. The budget this year is actually pretty uninteresting, I'll say. We don't have a lot in there, which can be good. The mill rate is staying at 2.84, which is what it was last year. And again, we talk a lot about mill rates, and just wanted to add a little bit of a description as to what the mill rate is. So we refer to it as a mill rate, or you'll see it in our documents as a mill rate. It's actually a millage rate, and it's what we use to calculate the property taxes within a municipality, and it's done by using the assessed value of a property and the properties across the rest of the municipality. So when we talk about mill rates or mills, a 1 mill equals $1 per $1,000. So as we talk about the mill rate at 2.84, that's what we're using to multiply against the assessed value of the properties in the village to determine the taxes. The village's mill rate continues to be amongst the lowest in the state, and even within St. Croix County, we are third to the lowest across all of the other municipalities within St. Croix County. So that's good from a taxpayer perspective. It makes budgeting a little bit harder for a municipality, because obviously then that's less dollars that we are bringing in. So you'll see we had to make some adjustments this year, but from a taxpayer perspective, the lower the mill rate, the lower your taxes are going to be. There are municipalities around us that are more than 2 times our mill rate, so we're not talking insignificant amounts of money. Our levy this year will be $1,672,085, which is up less than 1% from last year. So last year we were at 1,657, so we're up 0.86. The reason for that being increasing is the amount of net new construction in the village. So again, not necessarily people paying more on their taxes, but we have more houses to tax due to new construction. So our total revenues have to equal our general fund expenditures. And in this case, we're looking at $2,247,809, which is 21% less than last year, which seems like a big percentage, and it is. The reason for that is last year, if you remember, we took out debt for 2025 and of about $655,000. So that counts as a revenue for last year, and without that, that's why we have the decrease. We are not taking out any new debt this year. So the general fund balance on 1/1 of 2025 is expected to be $2,251,000. $872. And we'll talk a little bit about that balance. It is, I put healthy in there. Healthy is good, but there's also some ideas or proposals on how to right-size that and use some of that money to continue to grow and enhance the village. So what were some of the factors that went into this year's budget? The biggest one that we had was a medical insurance plan that we have for our employees was no longer going to be made available. We knew this was coming for several years. The move to the new plan had a significant price tag with it. There was nothing we could do about it, so we saw a premium increase of roughly $52,000 to offer a similar plan to the employees that receive health insurance today. So that was, again, with the low mill rate and the low revenue, that was a pretty significant hurdle to overcome. We did that through several means. The one is the next bullet here, which is the abolishment of the municipal court. Obviously not an easy decision, went through several committees. We would have loved to kept it, but we weren't able to from a budgetary perspective. So we started looking at what things within the budget we could remove and still receive support. So the court is actually going to go to the county. So instead of coming here, if you are fighting a ticket or having seeing a judge, you would just go to the county instead. So we're not losing the ability. We're just not going to have it here within the village. Also included in the budget is wage increases for staff. A couple years ago, there was a study done, and the Village of North Hudson staff was, I'll say, pretty significantly underpaid versus peers in the neighboring communities. And the board and others have done a great job of getting the employees up to at least the medium of the other municipalities around us. So that's a good thing for all. As we know, if you lose people, the expense of bringing new people on is big. And so let's try our best to not have people leaving simply for they can make more money down the road. The board also did approve an increase for payout for the meetings for the trustees. Again, this was several years, I think, overdue, and also aligns now with neighboring communities. So similar survey and studies were done, not only for the wages of the salary or wages for the employees, but the trustees as well. And so this is more right sizing with what the communities around us are doing. There's a letter that will be going out to everybody here in the next couple of days that talks about this equivalent residential unit. Sometimes I see it residual unit, but it's an ERU, and those are fees that we use in order to support and fund our storm sewer budget, which is extremely important for several reasons within the village. And that fee will be increasing from $36 a year to $60 a year. And that extra revenue is going to be used, again, to pay for those increasing expenses in that storm sewer utility. We also have, of course, our contracted fire protection from the city. We saw a pretty significant increase last year, and we saw another increase this year. So we're at $144,764 for our contracted fire protection with the city. Again, that's something that we don't have any control of right now, so that's just something that gets handed to us. kind of again, as a result of trying to level everything, the board also did vote to not renew our third-party snow contract. That resulted in about an $8,000 savings as well. Several reasons for this within the Public Works Department. We have a couple of guys that have CDL licenses that we haven't had in the past. We've got some new equipment and some options, better options for snow removal. So we feel like that's something that we can take on ourselves without having the contract, which is a minimum of $8,000, whether we use it or not. And then all of the departments really looked at what they could do within their operating budgets to right size, I'll say, any of our expenses. So we looked back at previous years, what we had spent this year, really kind of pushed to see are there areas that we could decrease for training, subscriptions, are we really using everything? General operating expenses, I know Chief and Nathan have both looked at communication budgets. We've done some consolidation. We've moved carriers, all to save money throughout this past year, which is now reflecting in next year's budget. So we're seeing the results of all that hard work and that right sizing, and our operational expenses, decreased as a result. I'll go into this last slide and we'll open it up for questions if anybody has any. So capital purchases is always another big part of this. And this year we probably have, well, compared to last year, significantly less capital purchases approved at the beginning of the year than we have previously. Excuse me. But the one big one that did get approved is for assigned sidewalk repair fund. I'm going to grab my water real quick. And I think this one is really, really important, and I was excited to see this get approved. So we're looking at $77,000 that we're going to be assigning to start to repair the sidewalks across the village. Again, one could say long overdue. We're just excited to have that significant chunk of money that we have dedicated to that. The Public Works Committee will be contracting this out through a third party, or the Public Works Department and the committee through a third party, and they're going to be focusing on the sidewalks, so we're not taking the Public Works staff away from the other responsibilities. This contractor has gone through, looked at all the sidewalks and assessed them, and we'll be starting with the ones that are in needing the most amount of repair. And we'll be kind of starting with the highest severities and working their way through. This won't cover every sidewalk in the village, but it'll get us a significant amount of the way there. We'll see at the end of the year what we have left, and then we'll probably be coming back and asking for more money the following year to finish up that effort. But this will take us quite a ways, I think. One other main capital purchase was approved, and that is for a new truck. We try to keep the fleet in the Public Works Department as up to date as possible. Again, you get to a point where keeping an older truck ends up costing you more because you're constantly doing repairs, and we have at least one of the trucks in the fleet that is quite a bit older. So we will be trading that in, and we'll be using the funds that we have in our vehicle purchase fund account for this money. So we save every year as for just these types of purchases. We'll be using $25,000 of that for that trade in, and we'll be getting some money back as a result as well. So we did approve that. Heck of a time to catch a cold, sorry guys. And then we also approved roughly $24,000 of what we're calling the 2024 surplus budget. So we had some extra money that was left over that did not get spent, that we had assigned for spend in 2024. And we approved that to the use of $24,000 of those dollars to purchase a few of the items that came in during the 2025 budget planning process. And these are, again, smaller things like radar replacements, body armor, cameras, laptops, both for the squads as well as employees, and even a desktop. So again, just trying to keep up with these things. All of those laptops and desktops were past their due date on, or approaching or past their due dates for needing to be replaced. And then this is where I had kind of mentioned on the budget side. So the balance that we do have in our general fund that we're expecting to have at the beginning of the year, what the committee is recommending is rather than trying to figure out what we're going to do next year and assign all those dollars and start the budget off on January 1st, what we decided to do instead is to allow for a mid-year capital spend opportunities to come into the finance committee and then the board to review, because we've got two major things happening this year that are going to drive, I think, a lot of what we want to spend those dollars on and not just do it blindly. And that first one is the comprehensive plan. So thank you to everybody who has participated in those surveys and attended the session. You know, we're really hoping that that identifies the things that you want to see in the community and where you want those dollars to go. And so for us to go ahead and take those dollars and assign them to spend this year without seeing the results of that plan just didn't seem very wise. Along with our park board, our committee is coming up with a park improvement plan. So the committee members are walking through all of the parks within the village and are going to be coming forward with recommendations on what they believe we should or could do to the parks to make them more upgraded and accessible to the community, and something that we can be really proud of. And so as they're doing that analysis and we're getting some quotes and doing some other prioritization, again, to spend dollars without knowing the outcome of that improvement plan or those recommendations didn't seem to make sense. So the timing was just off. So when we look at that fund balance, again, the goal is to hold on to that until these two things are done and we can better assess what the priorities of the community are and spend those dollars against those efforts. So again, from approved purchases at the start of the year, not really a lot other than the much needed sidewalk funds. Any questions?
Nice work.
Good work. Move to close public hearing.
No, we haven't had public comments yet.
I thought that's what you just asked for.
All that, she was just asking if we had any questions, you know, I
Are there any
mean,
questions from the public?
I do have a couple questions.
Okay.
So, yes, sir.
Oh, yeah, you'll have to come up.
the normal,
State your name, address.
identify and up to the microphone so the folks at home can hear it, please.
Yes, sir. I'm Dan Schmidt. I live at 756 Summit Lane North, North Hudson. So, questions that I have, Gina, if I could address it to you. So, on the, could we put that next slide up there that has the dollars on it and stuff? Because that's what the questions come from.
Very fast. Which one? That one?
No, I'm sorry,
The next document.
We have another document, Chief. We all have it. We all have it in front of us.
It might be easy for me to read up there, Brad.
Oh, okay.
No, don't be. Do you want just the one pager or the detail?
Yeah.
The one pager? Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Now let's make it readable, huh? That might be as close as we get, guys. Do you know where about? Do you have questions?
Yeah,
Okay.
so at the bottom right there where it says estimated 12/31/2025 balance, so that number 2,108,657, there's two asterisks there, and I was just wondering if that was something that would explain something about that number?
Oh, it's not on the notes, is it? Yes, so the difference between the beginning of the year and the end of the year is those items that we looked at, the sidewalk fund, the car purchase, and the roughly, what was it in that budget? The 24,000, the 25,000, and the 77. If we take out the two, those items from that beginning balance, that should get us to that end balance. So that represents the capital assigned.
Okay, thank you.
I don't know.
Then the other question I have is, so the total expenditures, again, I'm going to point at this. I'll go back over there. This number and this number are the same. So the expenditures from the column total, from top to bottom equals that number under total expenditures, but the revenue doesn't. And I'm sure there's a good reason for that, and I just don't know what it is. The top portion of revenue for 2025 is the same, $2,247,809. But when you read it from left to right, under general fund, total revenue is $2,104,594.
$2,104,000. Where's the 2,104,000?
This number.
So this number. Oh, yep. So thank you. I was not seeing that at first. So the total revenue is the top items under that budget. So from the 1.6 all the way down, it excludes the use of available funds, which is that 143.
Oh, okay.
Because that is money that the village is putting forward, not necessarily, again, to pay for those capital purchases, not necessarily revenue we're receiving from outside sources.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
And the last question I have is about the sewer repair maintenance fund. So it starts out with a negative $111,905, and then there's additional expenditures and a bigger negative $153,805 at the end of the year.
Yes, yep.
So how does that get funded? And is it, I guess if you could explain why that is a big negative and gets bigger, I'm interested
Yeah.
to know that.
Sure,
Thank
sure
you.
can. Yeah, of course. So the sewer fund and the sewer replacement fund, which is down a few items, they're separated out as fund accounts. They both kind of go towards different aspects of sewer replacement and maintenance. So you'll see a few items below that. There is a sewer replacement fund that's got about $496. So when we think of it in terms of the dollars we have for the sewer to repair and maintain it, we think of those two accounts together. The reason why we're seeing zero for revenue, but we're seeing expenses, is because as of the end of last year, we removed the repair maintenance surcharges and fees that we used to charge on the water utility bill when we heard that the rates for the sewer were going to go up for the village residents. So to offset that, we took out the fees that we used to charge that would help create that revenue for us so that we could continue to maintain that fund. The expenditures are there because we know that we'll continue to have things happen with our sewer and our lift stations and our booster stations that need to be done that will cause expenses. So things like when we televise and we do all those things that we talked about, those are expenditures that come out of that fund. So it's starting the one fund at a negative balance. Again, if you think of combining them, it's starting at one balance. There's no revenue coming in because we dropped those, and we're expecting that we'll have repairs and maintenance throughout the year. So yes, that is going in the wrong direction. You're welcome.
Okay, since Dan is the other one here for public comments, and we're done with that, so I guess we'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Ryan, thank you. Is there a
Second.
second? Barb, thank you. The public hearing is now closed. The next item is a motion to approve Resolution 2024-09, adopting the 2025 annual budget and establishing the tax revenue, or the tax levy. Is there a motion?
Move to approve.
Thank you, Brian. Is there a second?
I second.
Thank you, Barb. Any comments, questions, or anything to add to this? Hearing not. Mary?
Yes.
Barb?
Yes.
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 And unanimous, the adopting the 2025 annual budget for the village is complete. And next item is adjournment, and so we stand adjourned at, looks like 5:37. Thanks for stopping by.
Thank you.